stuff, which I don't care anyway. I'll keep making them. And like I said, though, these tech companies and YouTube too, because I'm not even being monetized at all. You think I give a damn? I got a job. You know what I'm saying? I got a job. I'm just getting in the Democrats' ass once again, because this is the party of less tolerance. This is the party of hatred. They are the ones, ladies and gentlemen, that are responsible for a lot of things that are going on right now in America. Let's not make no mistakes about it. This group right here, right? They are the ones, right? That's all I gotta say. This old bullshit ass already, from the left. And this is the thing about it. More MAGA got to start getting in the Democrats' ass. Give them that same energy like they've been giving us, right? Because your paid entertainers are not working no more. And I'll continue making more lives. I just make another one. You kick me off the last one, I'm going to go ahead and make another one. That's what I do. And I'm going to continue making more too. Just to let them know that you ain't stopping nothing. The truth is still coming out, right? We won. They lost. Plain and simple. There's no more, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, no more. The way it's looking on the Democrats, they ain't gonna get by this election. The primaries. I mean, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Look at California. Look who's been running California. Look who's been destroying California. You got the mayor, right? Karen Bass, and then you got Gavin Knucklehead Newsom, right? This is who's messing California up. We already know who these people are, the culprits, right? Look at Portland, Oregon. This is another one. Look at their mayors and their governors, right? They running hellhole cities, man. Cities that people are moving out of, man. They don't want to be no part of it. Look how the Democrats as well. Look at Minneapolis, Minnesota, right? Under Tampon Tim watch. You know what I'm saying? Look at what's going on. They done turned Minneapolis into little Somalia. It's gonna be like Somalia if it's not corrected. Look at Somalia. No government, warlords all over the place, right? This is what's on our shores, and this was being done about it. Corruption, right? Look what's being done. It's gonna keep it 100. Then they got a nerve to come in this room asking questions and with the little weak little insults and stuff like that. And I've been dealing with trolls, man. Nobody worry about no trolls. I'm from Detroit. You got to come much harder than that. You're going to deal with the facts that I'm talking about here. ICE agents, right? Trump even said he was going to send in the ICE agents. ICE is in Portland. Y'all thought that judge, that low-level judge, overreaching overreaching up in what we're talking about, executive order. We ain't never had this in history before. But once again, we know why that is. Because you're messing with the Democrats who? Voter block. This is their constituent. Illegal criminals and illegal aliens, right? This is their voter block. This is who they are. This is who they are. They can't deal with the real facts about what's really going on. And I love to see ICE out there, I want them to get even tougher. I really do. Use those batons if you have to. Get to swinging if you have to. If they want to come up being disruptive, right? They want to come with a weapon, you know what to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what it is. Law and order will be restored. And we got to go into, they have to go into these liberal ass cities first. They have to. Because we're going to destroy that voting block. Therefore, we're going to make it so impossible for Democrats to cheat, right? Because they ain't going to get in there because Trump they already been cleaning up the voter rolls already. That's a fact. The voter rolls are being cleaned up, ladies and gentlemen, which I'm very happy about that, right? We're going to have clean voter rolls, no deceased people posing as voters and all this other stuff. Just like the Doge is cleaning up the Medicaid, Medicare, Can't you guys see right now that the Democrats' support beams are being kicked out from under them? One chunk at a time. Boom, 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 boom. Soon we'll get to the top by chopping them down one step at a time, right? That's exactly what it is. This is the man of the hour, the man, the myth, the legend, and that is President Donald J. Trump. Trump been kicking the Democrats' butt and behind. They lose on every federal court because you know why? Because Trump understands what? The Constitution. The Democrats don't. They throw their little minions out. They throw their low-level judges out and all this lawfare stuff. It don't work with Trump. It just doesn't. It doesn't work with Trump. They already tried that. That shit don't work. You know, instead of just accepting it, that's why I don't really, to be honest with you guys, man, nobody is that damn dumb unless you got to be paid. And that's why I'm calling these people out. They were paid to go to this No Kings protest. They're paid to get on these social media platforms to push agendas. And these are Democratic shields. Because if they wouldn't be paid, man, they'd be doing something else. These are not content creators. These are paid activists, paid by the Democratic Party, what they want to call it dark money. But it all leads back to them. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, David Packman been busted out. Them, and there's a list of them. And one day I need to go over there and do a live about these guys. I never liked David Packman because I knew he was a Democrat shield, just like a lot of them. They just have these popular channels. How are they going to have these fancy state-of-the-art studios and stuff? You know you got to be paid, right? Because think about it. I'm not saying that that's the only way, but let's face it. What was they getting paid as much as $8,000 a month? Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. To be paid to push out propaganda, right? They were the controlled opposition, paid for, right? This is what they've been doing. Something got to be wrong with you for a man to be a liberal. Man, you got to be paid because you trying to defend this? You trying to defend child mutilization, transgender stuff? You're trying to defend this type of stuff, try to call it for people's rights on children, imposing these laws that Trump got rid of. And here it is, California. They still pushing for men to be in women's sports in California, violating. This was an executive orders that Trump signed on. That's why he's gonna go after California, just take the funding away from them. Because obviously the mayor and the governor over in California don't think fat meat is greasy. But you're gonna F around and gonna find out. What happened to that mass transportation transit system that California was gonna build? Look at all that money that they stole from the taxpayers over there in California. I mean, they got a budget. What was the money that was given to them? They were giving that money, right? I think that was under Biden. I believe it was. You don't see it. Talking about it's going to take years to build this thing. They haven't broke ground, ladies and gentlemen, and built that thing yet. But they're going to sit up here talking about a ballroom that Trump, it didn't come from the American taxpayer. It came from private donors, private investors, right? And Trump been transparent on the whole thing versus what they want to do out there in California. That's why I say, man, Democrats are not about transparency. They love doing things in the dark. They love throwing rocks and hiding their hands and acting like they didn't throw that rock. These people are the worst, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing good about being a modern day Democrat because their parties obviously don't work for America. They've been against America. Just look at the black community. Look at the modern day America today that's suffering as well as the black community. Because what happened locally spreads out. When they get a cold, so and so get a flu, right? And now that America got the flu when they had their people in power, we're talking about who? Biden. For the 4 years, Joe Biden, that's been the resident president, right? Look what happened. Look at the mass amounts of what? We talk about inflation, right? It was over 7%. We still trying to come down from Joe Biden's mess. I'm not blaming him for say because he wasn't there. But we have a great idea who the contributors, conspirators, and provocateurs are. They push woke ideologies, right? They also push the trend, which is part of that, right? And they made it into law. If you were to speak out against this, they're over here going, and this is about the Constitution. But remember, we already know this. The Democrats hate the Constitution. They're not for the First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights, and so forth. They want it. They only want it for themselves, not for everybody else, right? Because the people from the top have told these shield Democrats that have spread this propaganda, listen, do not debate the right. All you're going to do is bring up Epstein, bring up other stuff. This is what you want to do. Because the job is to take the blame or take the spotlight off of real situations that are happening and then talk about BS. They do it in this room all the time when they come in here. You don't think I know this? And then they love playing word semantics. That to me, that's not a debate. That's why I don't even waste my time with them. Talking about I'm afraid to debate. They are afraid of debate. They won't debate the issues that I'm talking about. That's where the situation is. Instead of wanting how you going to be able to debate something like this? You going to debate child mutilization for transgender? You trying to debate this type of stuff? You need to have your head examined. You'll lose that debate hands down. That's why they tell them to stay away from those particular topics. Try to control the narrative. See, I already know the playbook. Control the narrative. Bring up 34 count felon. Bring up Epstein. Whatever you do, make sure that you keep the focal point away with what they're talking about. Because as a paid shield, that's what they're taught to do. So the paid shields go out here and do what? Do the same thing. They have these old bull BS wannabe debates, which they're not. They're just word semantics and word salad, word play, phony statistics, knowing damn well that the crime statistics have been cooked, just like the illegal immigration in this country has been cooked. And this is why we weren't getting real statistics. Like I said earlier on my earlier live, they still reporting 8.5 million people in this country, and that's not true. The real numbers is up in the 50s. We're talking about 50-ish that have been allowed in this country under the Democrats. Not only that, but the Democrats have committed treason. You see what I'm saying? They were the ones that committed treason for allowing illegals to come in this country. Look what ICE, we always had ICE agents. They had to be federalized. I mean, the National Guards, this is why they have to come in and protect them. They want to call them Gestapos. And what they've been trying to do, see, with propaganda, you tell a lie so much, there's a small, weak-minded of people that start believing it. They want to make it like the illegal aliens are innocent and the ICE agents are bad. That's called propaganda. You know where that came from? That came from Eric Benet, not Eric Benet. That's the entertainer. Eric Benet, the godfather of propaganda. There's a book. Thank you for the like. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna keep bringing this point up because I don't think many of them know who Eric Benet really is. The book was written, I believe, back in 1928. In fact, Eric Benet is actually the nephew of Sigmund Freud. How you think that Nazi Germany became so powerful today? Because of propaganda. A lot of their work, a lot of his work, when it come down to propaganda. And one of the things I remember reading in the book, you tell the lie, you continuously tell the lie until the lie becomes the truth. With a lot of our television, telling lies to our vision and programming. Television programming. Where do you think all that came from? It was the tools that was used in Nazi Germany like it is used today to get people to get on board with an agenda, right? Even though it's a bullshit agenda, but they get them on board with it to control your thinking. to get you to sympathize with the illegal aliens, right? And hate the ICE agents, but they look at the ICE as modern day Gestapos for some of them, a minority group. And some of these Trump deranged mint type people, you would never be able to cure that, which we're not. But what they're going to do is they're going to open back up the insane asylums, man, because those need to be opened back up so these people can really get the help that they need because they don't need to be on the street because they're going to be a danger. And what they've been doing is they always have. The left elites, they've been virtual signaling over here, calling them Nazis and all this other kind of stuff. Anybody that's MAGA is considered a Nazi and all this other stuff. They've been virtual signaling, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they do. This is what they do. We already said this before. Trump is the counterinsurgency because right now the way that this thing is, the voter rolls have been cleaned up, constantly being cleaned up, where they don't have the narrative already. They lost the will of the people. Who controlled the people? The people on board with Trump. People, your average people are seeing, even in the black community, when you start looking at Memphis, Tennessee, one of the worst cities, hellhole cities before. Now people are able to come out on their back porch. Everybody got relatives in Memphis, you know. There were some areas in Memphis that you couldn't go in. Now, because thanks to Trump and the National Guards, it's considered a safe zone now. You know, ain't nobody out there dealing, no gunshots. And then let's go back to this again. I love getting the dims on this, right? When you heard the gunshots before the National Guards was there, the city was under what? Siege with a lot of these hood thugs, YNs, right? I didn't see one Antifa. I did not see one protest from the Democrats saying stop the violence, curtail the violence. Let's have enough of this. They didn't do this even with Black Lives Matters. They did not, in their mother or fathers on their behalf, did not come out there to say stop the violence on this black on black crime. Not one. But they hold up signs champion for Palestine, which knowing damn well ain't none of them ever been to Palestine, including myself. They never been over there on Gaza or none of that. Some of them, but not most of them haven't. But you mean to tell me that you have more love for area in a country in the Middle East, right? Than you have over here in your own backyard. Talk about hypocrisy, right? They turned their backs on the Democratic Party. You know why? Because they said we gave them civil rights, we gave them welfare, which destroyed our community. We gave them the Public Housing Act. I think that was in '68. They gave a lot of this. What's it? NAACP, Urban League, which is nothing more than part of the Democratic Party anyway. They gave blacks all this stuff, but what did we get in return? We didn't get nothing. It's the only thing was keep voting Democrat, keep voting Democrat. Black in my face and the N word behind my back. Ain't that right? Ain't that how it go? You know, this is exactly what it is. They are the ones on the Democratic Party once again that paid off these so-called black leaders. They don't serve the people; they serve the party. They serve the party. Business as usual, serve the party. This hypocrisy, right? With this Palestine and flag, even turn the flag gay. And anybody know that Muslims don't play that. That they don't play that. They don't play that type of stuff. But it's a bunch of hypocrisy. The whole no kings is hypocrisy as well too. This is a failed, a failed attempt, a failed protest with no meaning. The people were just dumb and stupid, and they were just being paid. They bust them out. I showed y'all this last Saturday when they had the No Kings protest. We were already aware that they were going to do it. I said I was going to show up. Did my live stream. I appreciate people on that live, and I said the same things that I'm saying now, and I'm gonna continue saying the same things right now. We may talk about some other issues here and there, but the focal point is going to stay on the low down demo KKK rats. This is exactly what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. The focal point is going to stay. It's going to stay here because we can't move anywhere else until this threat has been neutralized. And the threat is coming from the left. These are your terrorist people. These people upstairs is not too well mentally. And unfortunately, they're going to get a lot more people hurt or maybe unearthed as well. This is what's going to unalive. I mean, this is exactly what's going to end up happening. These are the people that do their bidding, like the minions, like Despicable Me. It's called Despicable Them. Because, like I said before, the demo KKK rats don't have any type of leadership. They don't have no leadership today. You think that Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders, AOC, all the rest of them, those are not leaders. Those are weak, pathetic men and women too that use race baiting, right, to push agendas. And they failing at it. More and more people have been red pilled now. The media is useless. The mainstream media is useless. They want money in this. When they didn't want that clean CR, they wanted Trump. They wanted this $1.5 trillion, and they wanted money to go back into NPR and PBS, which is nothing more than a propaganda machine. It always have been. They've been hijacked that over a long time ago. Public PBS, right? This is nothing more than another propaganda machine. You know, I remember listening to NPR back in the days, but they're nothing but a propaganda machine. Everything is far left. It's a left rag. Left. Look at Reuters. Look at Politico. Look at AP. They got so many. We don't really have that many conservative, real conservative channels back then. We got more now, but a lot of them are not mainstream, ladies and gentlemen. Remember the days with great Rush Limbaugh? We don't have a Rush today anymore. They made sure of that, you know. The great Rush Limbaugh, right? Rush, right? Look what happened today, ladies and gentlemen. We got nothing but leftist propaganda all over the place, which is but now things have changed. Before we had nothing but leftist shit, leftist politics and propaganda that suit them, that protect their interests, right? You know, that's why if you notice with CNN, that was another one, right? So, which is linked to CIA. CNN is nothing but CIA. When they used to have clearance, they don't have the clearance no more. Trump took the clearances away from them, you know, which I'm happy about. A lot of they people on the left don't have the clearances anymore to the intelligence where they were just being fed. So they got to make this ish up. They're making it up right now, ladies and gentlemen. They don't have access like they used to anymore. They got to make it up. This is the thing, though. This is created by them. We're talking about people on the left, ladies and gentlemen. Your propaganda and all this stuff has failed. The party is useless today. They have no leader, discombobulated. You think that AOC is going to lead the Democratic Party to prominence? They're not. They're going to lead the Democratic Party, as I always say, because they're on life support. What's after life support? When you become unalive, I'm talking about the party. You know, that Lindsay Lee, she was a campaigning for Kamala Harris's thing and how they jacked off all that money, gave it to celebrities and entertainers and so forth, made her holding the bag looking like a fool. Tell me if she's still part, if Lindsay Lee's still part of the Democratic Party. She's not. She's MAGA. She's MAGA, you know? What about their when over in Kamala Harris's, they went over budget. They spent up an over budget and how Trump and them had money proceeds to help the people, the vendors that got stiffed. This is the party that claims that they the party of love, the party of tolerance. Talking about the Democratic Party, they're not the party of love, and they're not the party of tolerance. They're the party of hatred, bigotry, right? To say the least, right? And anti-American, and stand for terrorism. Because anybody that support and back up Antifa, you are not heroes. You are a villain. But you try to run propaganda, try to make wrong right and right wrong. Your propaganda don't work on me. I read the book Propaganda and all the stuff that you're doing. This is nothing but Eric Benet's once again, right? Not Eric Benet, because that's the entertainer, that's the R&B singer. Not Eric Benet, Eric Benet's, the nephew of Sigmund Freud. And I suggest that for people that don't know. I think I may even do one of my live streams. I'm gonna have Mega on, and we're gonna do one. I'm gonna do some stuff with him, and I'm also gonna do one on propaganda because I think that's gonna be really needed, man. We need to do one on propaganda to show you guys how propaganda works, and it's still working. Because when you can tell a lie and get people to be on board with it, keep in mind, this ain't just happened with Antifa. This happened long ago. It was going on back with Obama. People don't realize this, that Obama, as far as 2013, Obama, the arch deceiver, and the like I call him, he is the great lie, the what we call the fallen messiah and the arch deceiver. Talking about Obama, right? Obama divided America, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, he did. When he started when he weaponized the LGBTQ community, right? This what happened back then in 2013. He was the one that started to hack away the Constitution. He was the one that weaponized the LGBTQ community. He was the one where we started seeing like a lot of these other propaganda things on TikTok and all this other stuff about different genders now. Talking about there's multiple genders. Before Obama, there was everybody knew, even in the gay community, everybody knew that there were only two genders, one male and one female. All that shit started going weird with propaganda and TikTok because at the time we knew the Chinese had control of TikTok, and they pushed that digital platform out on the American people, and that was that was another form of programming. That was propaganda, man. This is why some of y'all still believe to this day that there's more genders than other than being two genders, one male and one female. We got XY chromosome and X chromosome, right? Two genders. Now you want to try to make up. You can't fight against science. I studied this. We studied this in grade school, middle school, high school, right? DNA. And you can't come up here and make all this other stuff up. That's called propaganda. And you should be ashamed of yourself. But there's no shame coming from the left. The left have convinced us that the Republican Party is a party opposite of the left, which is not. Outside of Trump, we're talking about we're talking about the Rhino Republicans, which is Republican in name only, that work in symphony with the Democrats. It's WWE all over again. On the upload, right? On the upload, what do? They talk about how they hate each other on the front, on the back end, high fiving and slapping each other. Both of them getting paid by the pharmaceutical industry, military industrial complexes, and all these other complexes. That's who's getting paid. Your Bernie Sanders ain't the sweet, innocent old man Bernie Sanders. He's been on the payroll of the pharmaceutical industry. He ain't by himself. There's many of your politicians, Republican and Democrat, that's on the ticket of the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, you had a lot of young people that voted for Bernie. They actually thought that Bernie was going to deliver it by talking about free education. It was a ploy to attract the vote, and it helped Hillary out because that's what they do. Bernie would never win as a socialist in this country back then, 2000, was it 14, 15? He wasn't going to be able to get in there as a socialist. It wasn't going to work. You know what I'm saying? But it set Hillary Clinton up. It set her up, but they couldn't get past the electoral college. See, the Dems forgot about that one. That's why I say, but and then remember they talked about wanting to get rid of the electoral college. This is part of our constitution. You know, this is supposed to curtail a lot of corruption in politics. The founding fathers knew what they were doing when they wanted to set up the Constitution in the first place, the three levels of government, the House of Representatives, right? As well as the Senate. They knew what they were doing when they set this stuff up. So we wouldn't have to be overran by corruption. Even though now the people fell asleep on social studies and all the rest of this stuff. And when they hijacked our Constitution, just like they hijacked our government, hell has been happening ever since after 1913. Everything has been going haywire. Trump is the only president in our lifetime that has not been voted by the establishment. He's been voted by the people truly. No matter which alignment that you agree with, you ain't got to take my word for it. He already said it that he's anti-establishment. This is why they hate him. The presidents have all been in there, have a legacy, family legacy of politicians, which hold a bunch of law degrees, especially all your senators. They all have a law degree. Big man on Capitol Hill. We talk about family legacy politician, career politicians, and many more of them afterwards. Trump is the disruptor. He shook things up. He busted up these big political franchises that was running amok on the American people, still trying to take our rights away, trying to subvert the will of the people to get on board with these democratic bullshit policies that never work, ripping off and robbing the American taxpayer dollar. This is why they created Doge. In my opinion, I just say that the Democrats created Doge. It wasn't Trump. It was the Democrats that created Doge because of their corruption. They got Doge to come in there, Department of Government Efficiency, right? They got them to come in there. There was a lot of things that they created. And they create, far as I'm concerned, they allow Trump, they allowed Trump to come in there and be president because there was so much corruption that they were doing. They were trying to hide it. Far as I'm concerned, and thank you, Democrats, for allowing Trump in there because of the people, 77 million people that voted for Trump this second term. It's because of you and your failed policies. Thank you again. And this is why you got somebody like Trump in there. And the majority, I don't feel when y'all Democrats used to ask that question, are you feeling guilty now for voting for Trump? I do not. I do not feel guilty whatsoever. I stand with every policy that he has implemented and many more. I'm 100% on board with the Trump campaign, right? Because he's a better fit for America, right? Democrats been in power longer and they have turned their backs on the American people, turned their backs on the black community, enriching themselves. And this is why we are in this situation that Trump is trying to clean up right now. You know, they have lost. Keep in mind, Trump been kicking their ass ever since. It ain't the Dems that's been winning. Look around, Dems. Think about it. I'm talking about the ones that are still not convinced, right? I'm talking about them, not you guys. I'm talking about the ones that are not convinced. Those are the ones that are the lapdogs of the Democratic Party. Your D.L. Hughley. See, there's a reason for him coming after blacks by not staying on the Democratic slave plantation. I'm talking about D.L. Hughley. Because you got to keep in mind, D.L. Hughley get paid by the Democratic Party. Just like Roland Martin, just like what's his name? Ricky Smiley, right? These people, right? These are your what they call black elites. They're not my elite, but some blacks would consider them to be their elites. These are people, we're talking about comedians and entertainers. Just think about that for a minute. When do I ever listen to a comedian or entertainer or a rapper like T.I. to dictate and to tell me who to vote for? It's a thing called a brain between my ears. I can show discernment. I can look at or I can do critical thinking for myself. You know how they treat the black community and black men especially? Oh, you better do this. And then back in the day, they used to sick black women on black men to get them together. Because you see what I'm saying? And that's what they've been doing. It's not working no more. You know how many black women now that are on the MAGA thing? You go on here and scroll down in here. You'll see what I'm talking about. Popping culture out of Maryland, out of Baltimore, Maryland. Shout out to popping culture, you know. The sisters over there doing their thing. What about the sisters over there in Chicago, turning Chicago, flipping Chicago red? Shout out to Danielle, Danny C. Shout out to all of them, Jessica and all them over there in Chicago. I talked to her a few times, but she ain't lying. She's always on the news on Chicago saying what the Democrats are doing over there. These are black women. It's the Democrats have lost the narrative. Y'all don't control them no more. They looked around and just what and said, yeah, why are we? This is what they were saying a while back. They saw Brandon Johnson did more than just a disservice to the black community. It was far worse than that. It was the whole Chicago, the city of Chicago, and the governor as well. You know, look at what they've been doing, and nobody can't seem to understand why. D.L. Hughley is not going to get in here and debate somebody, especially somebody like me. He will lose, and he know it. So all he can do is run interference by doing the name calling, calling somebody a sellout and a coon and a bootlicker, which he is the sellout coon. I saw Django. That's what he is. He's your modern day Samuel L. Jackson. You know that guy that you know what I'm saying? The character that if y'all saw Django, that's who D.L. Hughley is. All you gotta do is pay this here. Ain't he Snow White anyway? Him and Diddy, I think he's like Snow White too. Snow White in the head, right? You put that get up that Samuel Jackson. Put that. Can y'all picture? Maybe I'm gonna do one with D.L. Hughley looking like Samuel L. Jackson, right? In Django. I think that fits very, very well. Him, Ricky Smiley, and them. I think that'll be those are your modern day Sambos, is those guys, right? They are the ones that are the lapdog of the Democratic Party. The Democrats got their hands so far up their asshole, right? That they are they puppet. They tell them guys what to do. Yes, master. No, master. We got to get the blacks on the back on the slave plantation, master. 'Cause that's what they are. They're nothing but puppets, you know. You know, they're nothing but puppets. This is exactly what it is. Like I told you guys, they pay these guys and these bots to do this type of stuff, man. Epstein files, everywhere Epstein files. Remember, I told you the tactics is to deflect, right? Change the topic, the talking points. Because when I hit hard, I hit like, excuse me, I hit like thunder, right? I hit like thunder on their behind where they change topics. They have to because they can't handle the truth that I'm talking about. They cannot deal with this stuff. So this is coming down from the top. I want you to run opposition. I want you to bring up the Epstein file. I want you to ask these BS questions that don't relate to what I'm talking about. Here we are talking about the culprit that was responsible for the whole thing. How is Epstein, right? It's going to help. Whether we know who the people that did it, look at the damage that they done, right? Overall, I'm not going to go before Trump. I'm going to let Trump deal with the Epstein. I'm not saying nothing about it. I'm not going to get in front of the investigation. It's not going to work with me. But what's going to work is me continuously getting in the Democrats' ASS. That's what's going to work. And y'all going to have to deal with it. That when you come in this room talking about Epstein files and all this other stuff, just realize you ain't even got 5 minutes of shine. You know what I'm saying? You're going to deal with what I'm talking about, or you can get out. or I can kick you out. Straight like that, you know? This is what we're going to be dealing with. We're talking about real stuff right now, stuff that they don't want to deal with. I chew them up because there's nothing to debate with these clowns anyway. They just come in here thinking they're trying to be disruptive. They're nothing to me, man, really. Not on my level. These clowns are nothing, ladies and gentlemen. We've been dealing with these clowns for long enough, but now they don't control the people no more, and they know it. They really don't. You know what I'm saying? They really don't. This is the whole thing about it. See, they come in here being disingenuous, coming in my house, right? Being disingenuous, don't want to talk about what I'm talking about. That's why I say I don't debate these clowns, man. They don't want this. This ain't what they want. You know, you don't control the narrative in my channel, in my room. I control the narrative. And we're going to talk about what I'm talking about, or you can get out. That's what you're going to talk about. See how they say, oh, you only have 3 people. I don't do my lives for people. I do my lives and treat my lives as videos for people that can come back and watch it later on. That's what I do. I got a job. I'm over here waiting right now. I'm not a loser like many of your people that you know, sir, that go on here and have to look for YouTube trying to make money. No knocks for people that are doing it. If you notice, I'm not even monetized and I'm kicking ass. And I'm not even monetized because of the stuff that I'm saying. I don't do stuff for views. Have you noticed that? Yeah, many people would have quit, but I continued on. I think the highest I ever had was last week, this past Saturday, when I did the No Kings bullshit protest, right? I had 25K for people just coming in. Those are not my audience. I know this. Those are just people that were curious, popping in, popping out, like they normally do. I know who my people are. I don't have a huge, big audience. I never said that. The people that come in here and rock with me are the people that like hearing truth, sir. That's what it's about. I don't do stuff for views and for clicks. I'm not monetized, sir, and that's okay. You know, if it happens that way, I got a thing called a Cash App, which I don't even promote very much. I got a job. I go out here and work. That's what I do. I'm not on this socialist type of thing. No knocks against somebody that's making money on YouTube and being a content creator. That's not what I'm attacking. But to sit up here and to try to, oh, he only got 3 views. He only got 3 views. He's talking to himself. I don't even care if I have 0 views. You think I'm gonna shut up talking? I done had many times of 0 views, let alone 1, 10. And I still post them anyway, because I'm gonna treat this as a video. Just like I did my other one. These are videos to me, more so than live. I don't really consider this a live. I consider this a video. And that's exactly works for me. So nice try, sir. But that attempt has failed. You got any other silly, stupid questions? Well, that's supposed to hurt me? That's supposed to, you think you're supposed to be taking a dig at me when I've been kicking your behind? What is it? Over almost an hour. I've been kicking the Democrats' ass on facts, and that's what we're gonna need. We need to start talking about this more often. We need to have these conversations often. I let the other content creators talk about the news and all that stuff. I just enjoy getting in their ass factually, because all the years that they've been destroying my community, this is called payback. And I believe in payback, an eye for an eye. I sure do. How the Democratic Party has destroyed my black community. And I'm going to talk about it. And I see that DL Hughley and Ricky Smiley, they don't want to tell that truth. There's factual truth that this party, the party of bigotry, racism, and hatred, was solely responsible, and how they use these old sellout Sambo black leaders in order for them to do their bidding. Don't think we don't know this, sir. I don't do views for clicks and views and likes. They just so happen to like it. Hey, because the likes, whether you like it or not, it's going to push it up in the algorithm because it's going to get where other people want to listen to it. That's exactly what it is, though, you know? And I want to hear about I don't want to hear about none of this stuff because you ain't talking about ish. You ain't talking about nothing. You was an idiot. You probably a bot. I don't even talk to bots and idiots. That's why I don't debate these clowns no more, man, because he can't handle the facts about the Democrat Party. Go back to your master, you old Sambo, bootlicking, whoever you are. Go back from the pits of hell where you come from. You know, you're not even welcome in here, talking crazy and talking stupid instead of dealing with the stuff that I'm talking about is factual. You're not disrupting me at all. You're gonna continuously get this verbal ass whooping is what's gonna happen. You know, I'm not like a lot of these other MAGA people that you think. I'm not the docile, and you know what I'm saying. If you don't play by the rules, I don't play by the rules. How about that? We talking about fighting fire with fire, eye for an eye. You bring it to me, I'm gonna bring it back to you and some. I ain't one of those type of dudes like that. You don't know me very well. Don't get it twisted. I'm from Detroit. Don't get it twisted. You know, I ain't that dude. So I suggest that you find somebody else to play with and stuff like that. I know you're lonely. Now, if you need a hug, we can arrange it. If you're feeling sensitive and you need a hug, just let me know. You know, because other than that, you know, like I said before, we was talking about these Democrats, the demo KKK rats, and I'm gonna stay on their ass as long as possible. You know what I'm saying? You know, why does it matter though, which is worse? We all in Michigan. Everybody got a hood that the Democratic Party effed up and destroyed. Americans should be outrageously upset. But it's amazing how these hypocrites have more love over there in Palestine than they do over here in their own backyard in America. That's what I don't understand. See how they are living in contradictory and hypocrisy? This is the type of stuff that we're talking about here. You know, they all bad. Flint, they all bad. This is what the Democratic Party created. They're all bad. You know, and some of people ain't never touched foot in these inner cities, but want to sit up here talking about Palestine or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We got little Chirac over there, what we call Little Saigon and Inkster. We got nicknames for this type of out of control ass black on black violence and crime, vamping on regular people that's afraid. Talk about Memphis. We got that over here in Detroit and other areas, man. You know what I'm saying? Shit. You wouldn't be able to go in Little Saigon, you know, to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? We talking about places like that. Little Chirac and all the rest of this stuff, you know. You got places in Chicago that was called Little Chirac. Instead of fixing the problem when the Democrats were in power, they just used the nicknames and profited off of black misery. Now, if that ain't love, I don't know what is, because that ain't love. That is hatred. That is racism right there. Let's go ahead and put the true racism is connected to the Democratic Party. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it real, right? I'm just saying, let's just going to call it for what it really is. And I talk more about the black issues than everything else because we was the most impacted. You do realize that we've been marginalized, we've been disenfranchised. They took independence from black men where they started grabbing on and holding on to victimhood. They created this thing called pro-black movement, which to me ain't nothing pro-black because we don't control shit. We've been disenfranchised. The Democrat Party did not do their job of educating blacks. They just gave them set asides and cheap trinkets and trash and welfare, which is one of the major tools that destroyed the black community. Prior in the 1950s on down, we were married at an 80% rate. We didn't have the problems that we had today. That's exactly what it is. Reason why you don't want to listen to it, Joe, because of the fact is, I'm telling the truth. None of y'all, or whether you white or whatever, you didn't come into the inner city in Detroit to try to fix this thing. You's a hypocrite if you did. You didn't. You turn your back. You care more about Palestine than your own. These blacks are supposed to be your only of your fellow Americans. But see, with white liberals, they don't consider blacks as their fellow Americans. They look at them as lesser. Because again, white liberals, like the days of old in slavery, they need people to shine their shoes and fix their floors. This stuff is not designed for blacks to be independent. It's designed for them to be not dependent, but independent. We're talking about being dependency issues. The victimhood is coming from the left, not the right. I'm not a victim. I don't see whites as. That's why you never hear me use the word white supremacy. Whites ain't superior over me. I never use that word, sir. You can't run that with me. I get in white ass like anybody else. We're gonna talk about the real shit in this room, right? hmm You are percentage. You're 100% correct. Oh, yeah, this is coming from Tina, current news. You're 100% correct. Hello from Michigan. I'm in Michigan too, Tina. I'm over here in Detroit. Holler at your boy. Welcome to the channel, man. I always love talking to other Michigan. I get a lot of people from Michigan that rock with me, especially on these topics. And we got to let it be known and let it be said, right? And then this whole thing, like I said before, the Democrats created ICE agents coming in here and doing what they did. Let me explain. Because they allowed illegal immigration in here, right? I appreciate the love and the heart. So thank you so much. I really do. Thank you guys for coming in here and giving support. You guys know what's going on. See the hearts in there. Luigi, yep. Yep, I appreciate. I'm also gonna call you Luigi Mangione. I'm just joking, but yeah, but I'm just saying though, man, and I appreciate the support, man, because my channel, I'm not really a news channel. Thank you. I am Central Michigan. Oh yeah, you up there? You must be a student up there at Central Michigan at Chippewas. Yep, fire up the chips. Oh yeah, it's all good. Yep, I know where that is. You guys got Soaring Eagle Casino up that way too. Yep, I know where all that is. Yeah. But yeah, that's exactly what it is, though. The Democrat Party, once again, they are the ones responsible of turning their backs on America, just like they did with the blacks. Their politicians have been enlightening themselves, being rich. They enriched themselves, right? Setting up these slush funds like USAID. Do y'all realize that the USAID, that was a slush fund that Americans were never supposed to find out and know about? Let's keep it 100. We were never meant to know about the USAID fund. That was one of their biggest ones. The Dems were just going in there, and your low down Republicans too. I'm talking about the rhinos. They were going in there like a payday off of the taxpayers. How you think that we got to $36 trillion? The money wasn't going where it was supposed to be going at all. Remember, the representatives, the politicians, they represent the American people. But what they've been doing, they set themselves up in these ivory towers, treat themselves like paper gods, while we over here suffer, black, white, and other. Black people, white people, we are not the enemies of each other. You know who the enemies of the country really is? It's these low down, wicked politicians. These are the ones, right? These are the ones, right? Put a gun in the hand. I remember back in the days, right? Because we had COINTELPRO and all this other stuff. All this stuff was created by them. They put the guns on the street. We're talking about these high power rifles and assault weapons and all that. This is called urban removal, right? This is what it was designed to do, right? We all knew about the stories and stuff growing up in these inner cities, and that's what they did. We got a thing called Blood and Crips and all these other gangs. You know, you don't see Antifa one time coming after the gangs, right? You don't never see them or any of these other people protesting, even with the great BLM. Come to find out that that's been a scam and a sham. I always knew that was Patrice Cullors and all the rest of them, the three fat black lesbians that started it. Listen, We knew it was a scam. Summer of Love, scam. No Kings, all most of them are all violent, and they have to take the responsibility. When we talk about America itself, they are responsible, and they ain't the only ones. But from a lot of these so-called elites, I don't never call them elites. I call them so-called elites, the ones that want to pretend like they're gods. But aren't they having some type of issues right now financially? I believe last I checked, the Democratic Party is about to go bankrupt. You think this shutdown you think that the Democrats have the leverage? They can't get funding. They over here trying to get Trump to give them what, $1.5 trillion. Trump ain't gonna give them that money. He gonna allow them to starve out. The 61 days, he gonna allow them to starve out so he can permanently fire, because we never wanted big government anyway. It was too bloated. We want to shrink big government. These people will be fine. You ain't no boo-hooing about them. They never gave boo-hoo about it when the black folks was gutted down and cutting each other down in the streets of Detroit, the streets of Cleveland, and all the rest of them. Everywhere we're talking about, they never gave a you know what. You know what I'm saying? Look at what's going on. I call them out on their BS and bullshit. They black so-called black leaders. You know it's bad when you have entertainers trying to, but they lost the narrative. That's why people like Ricky Smiley, or I'm sorry, DL Hughley, he's like the worst. Old, bitter, old black man, right? I mean, never been funny. I never considered DL Hughley funny. The only one out of all three of them, Bernie Mac. Oh yeah, Bernie Mac was the funniest. He to me was the king of comedy, not Steve Harvey, not DL Hughley, and not Cedric the Entertainer. Them guys wasn't funny like that. I'm talking about not laugh track funny. I'm talking about funny for real. Bernie Mac show, right? That guy was funny. Shout out to Bernie, the late great Bernie Mac. May he rest in power. You know what I'm saying? Bernie Mac, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. So the people that have been screwing over, I'm gonna say what Joe said. The people that have been screwing over healthcare was the Democrats. They screwed over the healthcare system, right? By allowing they've been taking money from the look at what they've been doing. There was a time when these politicians they wasn't paying for, they were getting free medical while we were paying for it. They were getting free medical at the time, right? And then not only that, because they get the funding and they get the budget. Who blew the budget? It was them. They blew the budget by giving who? Illegals. These set asides were designed for American citizens, not illegals. But once again, in order for the Dems to satisfy their constituents, because we already know the so-called illegals, which are the legal aliens. These are their constituents. That's why they go back and go hardcore. I know where you're going with that, Joe. Yeah, exactly, man. This is exactly what it is. And I stay on the Democrats. This is going to be my thing from now on in. Because really, to me, yeah, ICE and all that, I mean, we already know Trump got that handled. We're going to talk about how this country, thank you for the likes, I appreciate it. How this country, right? This country here, and who undeveloped this country. We were about to be lights out. They've been stealing taxpayers' money. You should be outraged whether you're a Democrat, moderate, or Republican. Straight out. We all were taken advantage of. $36 trillion just didn't become $36 trillion overnight. It was over a time span of them stealing money, taking money, setting up different type of BS type stuff and dead people, using benefits. They've been enriching themselves. Private jets, setting up families, lobbyists, all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they've been enriching themselves, right? Corruption. Yeah, thank you so much, Durant. Yeah, but yeah, this is what it is. This is why we are in a situation now. Do y'all realize? I'm gonna see. You realize that we were lied to. The presidency outside of Trump, let's keep it real. Outside of him have been selected. These are families, right? They have been selected. Thank you about that, Tina. Speaking the truth, they all have been selected. The reason they hate Trump so much, this guy is an outsider. He was never supposed to be president. You know how much of an embarrassment and an F up that is? It's just that Trump was saying the right stuff way back before 2016 when he ran, right? He was saying the things that Obama and the rest of them should have been saying. Obama never said America first. I never heard that from Obama, Biden. I never heard any of them say America, even with Bush. I never heard him say America first. I'm taking the power from the people, from the government, and giving it back to the people. I never heard them say that. They kept the same political, yeah, let's go there, keep hope alive. I'm right there. They never, ever, ever, ever wanted America to get back on track. You want to know who the conspirators are? They were coming from the uniparty outside of Trump. Let's just keep it real. They were off my line. Yeah, we're coming from the uniparty outside of Trump, ladies and gentlemen. This is where they've been coming from. The uniparty outside of Trump. That's exactly where this has been coming from. This is why we weren't getting nowhere. They were the one that was weakening our military, running all these other type of programs and stuff like that. We talking about woke. The woke set our generation. It was almost going to set our generation back. I mean, you know what I'm saying? With that, in China, China didn't have to do no boots on the ground coming to America. They were going to do it within. China wouldn't got as far as they did right now without the help of who? These are these uniparty bastards. Hold on for one moment, y'all. Gotta do potty break. All right, I'm back now. Thank you. Yeah. So other than that, though, yeah, this is where we are, and this is why America is finally getting back on track. And I appreciate you guys coming in, because like I said, I know I got some MAGA support here. We're not the ones that's crazy, ladies and gentlemen. Neither am I. We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, been lied to, deceit, criminals in the White House, criminals in the corporation. This is the real fascists. That's how I know that, once again, these people talking about anti-fascists and all this, they don't know what fascism really means. Let's go ahead and draw it, plain and simple, because you know me, I don't like using big words. I'm not a big word dude. I'm not a wordsmith. I just say it for what it really is. Corporations, right? And government in bed with each other. There you go. That's fascism. Ain't that what we're dealing with? Bernie Sanders is a liar. He talking about the American people. He never gave a damn, because if any of them did, they wouldn't be for the shutdown. It was them that started the shutdown, right? It was them. But either way, Trump's gonna get his way though. Whether they want to agree with it or not, Trump is still gonna get his way. Because after 61 days, he's going to be permanently firing these people out of there. That was the goal anyway. Either way, he wins. That's what they don't realize. How you going to win something when you don't even have the leverage? This is how crazy these people are. The more desperate they become, the more foolish. Trump is pushing them in this direction purposely. This is the plan. He's forcing the deep state to move their hand. He's been pushing them ever since, pushing them into a direction to their own destruction. He's been pushing them. And then a damn thing that they can do about it. Look at the desperate moves and stuff they want to do. Rifleman up in the tree, trying to do an assassination attempt again. You got to take somebody out. Did it with Charlie Kirk. They are the terrorists, right? That's the thing about it. They don't, I mean, this is what I say. This is my topic, my talking points. I stay on this, right? Talking about the so-called Democratic demo KKK rats, I like to call them. I'm so mad, ladies and gentlemen, that how they single-handedly destroy America, and they did it with the black community first. Can't you guys understand that cities like Minneapolis, Chicago, Portland, I don't call it Portland, I call it Portland, right? LA, ain't they looking like the hood that you guys seen in the black community? Now it's a city now. This is what you're dealing with now. Because we always say it's the canary in the coal mine, right? That's exactly what it is. It started in the black community first. We went from having neighborhoods to hoods. You got dealers on the street corner dealing. You got drive-bys, gang activity, prostitution. None of these politicians ever gave a rat's behind about the blacks. Then they want to talk about Palestine. It don't make any sense. Are caught up in a contradictories and hypocritical ass type of thinking, and they think you're dumb. They think you're stupid. They still running the same old retardedness and crazy hypocritical ass talking points. That's can be easily defeated. Because all I gotta say is just look at the black community. Yeah, it happened with us first. That's why we used to it. It happened with us first. Shit, it did. You know, I grew up in the inner city, in the hood, Detroit, right? When people's stuff was being taken from them, being shot just by being on a bus line. Bus line was like a death trap. And what about people that have to catch a bus that don't have a car? You were asked out. When it started getting dark, they go to the bus stops and rob you. People know what I'm talking about. That's from the hood. People don't really realize how bad it was being on a bus line, especially back in those days in the 80s and the 90s when dope was prevalent. Come on now. Yep. Yeah, hi, it's me. He says everybody needs to wake up now. Yeah. And I believe they are waking up. They are waking up now. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to wake up. Look at our situation. Look at what we dealing with here. Look at what we have, right? And this is for the rest of America. You know dang on well that Minneapolis is not supposed to look the way that it looked. You know, it's not. It used to be a pretty, pretty city in that beautiful state. And I'm not saying Minnesota is not a beautiful state, but you know, we ain't never seen it this bad, man. I never been to Minneapolis, but I wanted to visit, but now I don't want to go there. You got overran with Somali people and corruption and all this other stuff going on. And I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, George Floyd and all that stuff went down. All that crap that went down was really the plan. But right now, I'm going to keep kicking the Democrats' ass while we have the opportunity right now, right? I'm going to make sure I keep my foot on their neck as long as I can by talking about the truth that I'm talking about right now. Because there's nothing, why talk about anything else? Because talking about, we're not saying we can't talk about other stuff, but it all ties into them. Propaganda, we talk about the Party. We talk about the rhinos and the Democrats. They've been playing a game, WWE, with most of us, right? Going out here, voting, giving your allegiance to these Democrats and low down ass Republicans outside of Trump. We finally are getting things done. Trump is the people's president right now. Look at Agenda 47. Look at the bullet points on there. And did he not say what he was going to do? Everything he said he was ran on his campaign, he's implementing what he has said. It's going to make it so hard. Let's just say a Democrat ever was to come into power. Coming after Trump, and people are watching now. People are used to a transparent government, is what Trump is setting up. Democrats don't like transparency. They like to do things in secrecy, right? This is what they've been doing. Remember, they never wanted us to find out about the USAID fund. That was one of their biggest donors, that they was enriching themselves off of the taxpayers' dollar. Straight like that. Tina says, amen. We can't let our guard down against, again, right? This world is changing big time. She's right. It's changing big time. The best is yet to come. It's true. Hi, it's me says, I voted for this. Trump making America great again. Yeah, a lot of us did. Democrats as well, Republicans and others. Moderates voted for Trump. The decision was clear. We wasn't getting nowhere when they were trying to push Harris, this DEI person. You know what I'm saying? Remember, she didn't win no primaries. They were supposed to have, within the Democratic Party, they were supposed to go through the course with a primary to find out for the best candidate. They had to, basically debate each other the proper way that was supposed to have been. She never got past Tulsi Gabbard. She never won in the primary back in 2019. I'm talking about Kamala Harris, right? Look at what ended up happening. We wasn't even on the brink of her being in there. I wasn't sweating because I know she wouldn't be able to get past. Listen, Trump, she couldn't get past the electoral college. Trump had more than she did. They had to cheat. Let's keep it real. He won the what is it? We already know the House, the Senate majority vote, as well as the 7 swing states. Right. This is all under Trump. She didn't have a chance. And we know that they even played with the numbers because we know the real numbers would be too embarrassing. This woman didn't go out there campaigning. She was hiding most of the time. And really what the nail went in the coffin for her, she didn't go on Joe Rogan's show. There was people that she was ducking and hiding. We know that this DEI so-called president was not the one. Low IQ and all. Girlfriend of Montel Williams. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Willie Brown's girlfriend too. He had her first, I believe. You know what I'm saying? We were supposed to believe in her. It was no way in the world. I said I made sure I went out and voted. I voted for Trump. You know? I wasn't gonna go for this travesty, this foolishness, you know what I'm saying? So this is why it's called retribution right now. And right now, I really believe that God is seeing that we get retribution of all the low down dirty stuff that they've been doing. You know, Tina says, good old Willie. Yeah, good old Willie, all right. Downtown Willie Brown, Willie Brown, Willie Brown, downtown Willie Brown. Yeah, exactly. Willie Brown even suggested for her not to run as a vice. Willie Brown knew that Kamala Harris was not. I mean, you never seen this woman get down in the court of law. Have any of y'all ever seen her practicing law, or even as a defense attorney general? Was attorney general or anything? Have anybody ever seen her? I never. Be honest with you, man. I didn't really know a whole lot about her until the vice presidency. She didn't win it. She didn't win the primary for her to be vice president. It was a DEI. It was given to her. They want to say, no, it wasn't. I appreciate the likes. Thank you so much. Yeah, we already know, man. This is a joke. She's a joke, and most of them are a joke, though. You know, it's not working no more. Trump still has the people. He has the military. He understands the constitutional law and so forth. The Dems don't. That's what's going on. The Dems do not, obviously. Dems don't understand about Constitution. They are the ones that's been trying to take it from us, right? Who weaponized the tech industries? Y'all remember that? Told the tech industries if anybody talking about COVID-19, what else? The jab and all this other stuff, vaccine stuff, to go after them. Who was debanking people because they were conservative? Because not only that Trump been debanked, there is a lot of other conservatives that was debanked from like Michigan. Was it a Bank of America? There were some other banks that was on board with that. Capital One, right? They were over here debanking people that had money in the bank, debanking them. They were over. That's fascism right there, right there. That you ain't never since Trump been in power. Have he debanked anybody? Have he debanked his enemies and people out to get him? He still ain't said, well, I'm going to go head on. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. He never did that. But his detractors and his enemies did that to him. They went against the Fourth Amendment, took his rights away, tried to take his First Amendment rights away, told him he couldn't talk about the court thing at all. And they went after him on the Fourth Amendment. Illegal search and seizure in Mar-a-Lago. Y'all remember that? They went to Melania stuff, Barron stuff. Going into a woman's unmentionables is just all right low down. These are your freaks, right? Your weirdos and all the rest of it. There was no reason for them to even be in the house at all. The documents that Trump had, he was allowed to have them. Look at John Bolton now. Look at him now. Look at all crazy and stupid. Just like with James Comey. Look at him now, Tisha James. These are your criminals right here, right? Mortgage fraud, stealing documents, espionage, coming out. And these are the low level these are low level pawns. We haven't even gotten to the people at the higher levels yet. Please believe me, they have a lot to be worried about and concerned about. You know, Democrats ain't running ish. You see them over here on these social media things like YouTube and all the rest of them though, pushing propaganda again. They don't deal with the real stuff that I'm talking about. It's wordplay, word salad, and semantics. Just like that Ari chick was doing, right? What's that one? ARI got herself looking like a gamer chick with the glasses on or whatever. Y'all know she's paid opposition, man. I know a Democratic shield when I see one. Just like with David Pacman that I never liked. And the reason why I don't care for these people so much, because they took the money to spit out lies. To me, they are anti-American, right? They are the ones that don't stand up for truth. That's not journalism. That's not being a content creator. That's called being paid for. There's a lot of others that's on that list too that holds an opposition. Because what was it? David Pacman was getting $8,000 a month. Shit. $8,000 a month to push out propaganda. Right? And you got others that's on there too. There's a few of them I just busted out. They're not going to admit it, but we know where the dark money is coming from. We're going to associate it with George Soros and Eric Kessler and some of these other people. The deep pocket money for real. Act Blue, which is a deep pocket slush fund as well. Remember that in order to start a rebellion, you got to have money. We're talking about a coup. We're talking about going against the government, a sitting president, and so forth. It takes money, and it's going to take unelected individuals. This is fascism right here. This is what Antifa should have been standing on, but they don't. You know why? Because they're being paid by the people that are already called out. They are not anti-fascist. They are for fascism, right? This is exactly what it is. I don't make no confusions about what fascism is. Just know that corporations, right, and government are in bed with each other. Corporate people tell them because they got the money. They ain't telling George Soros what to do. George Soros tell them what to do. He say how when he say jump, they say how high, master. Right? These are the same people. The ones that they control the entertainment industry, same thing. They need the entertainment. Rock the Vote, BET, which to me stands for Buffoon Entertainment Television. That's what BET stands for. When they want to have these old teen summits and all this silly stuff with T.I. and Killer Mike and Candace Owens, I don't know why she even went on the show. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they had to pay her. She probably got paid getting on there. She ain't gonna get on there for free. She got paid to go on there, right? And then they overtalked her. They wouldn't even allow her to talk. It was real disingenuous from the start. They've been told to do this. These are T.I. was there. I watched it, right? T.I. was even there, right? Look at, and that wasn't that long ago, ladies and gentlemen. You know. Then you got the other buffoon network too, which is the Breakfast Club. Biden had to go on there. You ain't black unless you vote for me. Hillary Crooked Clinton was on there with the bottle of hot sauce. Black should have been outraged over that. But here it is. Like holding up the bottle of hot sauce, knowing damn well she don't eat hot sauce. This is crazy. Charlemagne the fraud. What about him? Charlemagne the fraud. All of them on there. You know. That's the thing about it. It ain't hard not to believe what I'm saying. Well, you know, I mean, it is what it is. They get a paycheck. What is it? Just like CNN, they got one for the blacks. Guess what the black CNN is? It's the Breakfast Club, where buffoonery is number one. They don't learn anything on these buffoon entertainment networks at all. They just learn. They've had more buffoonery on there, man. Yeah, when I went on there, man, I found myself getting dumber. That's why I don't rock with no spaces like that. Charlemagne the fraud, you know, one person want to run around call himself a god when he's a fraud. Ain't nothing God about that dude. Ain't nothing godly about him either. Yeah, didn't he come up under some type of controversy? You know, these people are frauds and scams, and that's who they back up. That's who they support, ladies and gentlemen. They've been stealing from the black community, running opposition and running misinformation. It's them, you know. I don't need nobody to think for me. I can use critical thinking for myself, show some discernment, you know. And I mean, that's what it is. I mean, I wouldn't even go on these guys' shows. Shout out for conservatives like Larry Elders that went on that show too. I have big ups for Larry Elders. He's like a mentor of mine. You know what I'm saying? Larry Elders, Thomas Sowell, you know, to say the least, right? Um, Bill Cooper, the late great William Cooper, Behold the Pale Horse. There's a few others. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah, but I ain't gonna go on there. You know what I'm saying? Look at what's going on and what's been happening. This is crazy. Larry Elders was on there with that fat black out of control ass woman, that black fat woman that was on BET on breakfast. I mean, I'm sorry, it was Breakfast Club. I appreciate the like too. Thank you so much. Yeah. That's what I'm saying though. You guys are the real people that rock with your boy. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said before, they want to come in. Oh, you got low numbers and everything. I don't do this for numbers and clicks and views and all this other stuff. I do this because I'm passionate about it. Any opportunity I get to get in on some Democrat and these low down, rhino ass Republicans, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna hesitate. I ain't never been no Mitt Romney fan. I ain't never been a John McCain fan. I never been because we know that the people I just mentioned on the right, these neocons, they were already bought by the military industrial complex. Of course, they were going to be for Iraq. Of course, they were going to be for not just Iraq, but Afghanistan, right? Of course, they were going to be for this stuff. They believe in forever wars. More profit. How that song by what's that song by Bob Marley? War. Everywhere is war. War in the east, war in the west, war up north, right? Everywhere is a war because they know the benefactors and they got their cut. That's fascism. So you Dems and you Rhino neocons, y'all can suck it. Y'all are the ones that have been pushing this stuff, not us. It was you. You are the ones. You are the ones that was responsible for destroying generations of youth. I mean, guys already know baby boomers have all the wealth. I'm Generation X. We don't have no wealth. What about you guys, millennial? You don't have no wealth. Have you ever walked around and wondered why you can't afford a car? Why you can't afford a home? Why you can't be married with children? Why you think that was by design, or it was just a natural occurrence? You know, the baby boomers was the last of the wealth in this country. You do realize this, right? We don't have no wealth here. We don't have no buying power here. Where do you think that came from? Who been ripping us off? These low down ass, uniparty ass people that's been ripping us off. This is why you don't have no wealth right now. I'm talking to a lot of people. I'm talking not only Gen X, millennial, right? Gen Z, right? Gen Y for millennials. Come on now. It ain't that you know that you can't afford a car. Many of you don't want a car because you can't afford one. Other than that's BS. You don't want a car because you know you can't afford one. And I don't blame you. I'm not saying get in the car because you know owning a vehicle, paying insurance, how you gonna do that and then be able to live on your own? Many of you got to take Ubers and Lyfts. People like me come and get you, right? Can't afford no car. You know how much a car is and what type of man, please. It's like, do I even bother? You know? And for you baby boomers out there, I'm not trying to make you guys feel bad, but you guys are part of the problem too. While we don't have anything, just gonna keep it real. You guys are the last wealth in America is baby boomers. Everybody knows. You guys hold on to wealth. You guys have the homeowners and all the rest of this stuff. You guys got the cars. You guys are able to take the trips and everything, right? But a lot of y'all went wrong by voting Democrat. You were middle class. It was a different thing with the Democrats. I realize that. But let's just talk about it, right? A lot of you know that you ain't gonna be able to get your children out your home. Talking about an empty nester. Talking about an empty nester. You don't hear too many people talking about empty nesters today. That's a small percentage of them. Because you know that you're gonna have your children. And the way it's looking right now with Trump, he's gonna be turning some things around, but it takes time. It's gonna take time to get this economy back on track. In the meantime, you got to deal with what you got. You know, these empty nesters, more of them staying at home. Grandparents got to go out here and get a second job. They got to, get a job part-time. You know, a lot of your baby boomers are still working, right? They got caught too. Some of them that's on disability or pension or whatever like that, that ain't enough. You got expenses. The older you get, the more expenses go up. They've been ripping us off on the Medicare stuff. Look at what they've been doing. They was ripping off the Medicare. Man, who can afford Medicare, right? While they were getting it for free. The politicians were getting it for free, ladies and gentlemen, at one time. Trump stopped that. They're over here complaining about paying for Medicare when they can afford it. These low down ass politicians, these ones that are fascists, right? The ones that align themselves in the back pocket of corporations like Bernie Sanders and many of them. Don't think Chuck Schumer and all of them ain't doing it. They all in the back pocket of their donors. That's why they try to keep it hush hush. You know, most of your politicians are not going to tell where their real money come from. They the ones where they meet lobbyists all the time on Capitol Hill and push policies. Corporations have been pushing policies, taking our lifestyle away. Look at the farmers, man. American farmers, and they want to sit up here. They don't even understand what Trump is even doing in Argentina. Argentina was on the verge of being, their system was about to collapse. Ever since they left the European Union, their their monetary fund, their money was going down in the hole. Trump had to bail them out, but it was more of an exchange. He said, if I give you the money, whatever it's 40, whatever it's, what is it? 40, well, how much was it? 40 trillion or 40 mil, 20 trillion or 40 trillion. Is it million or trillion? I forget. I got so much on my mind. But at any event, it was going to be an exchange because Trump said, well, we're going to need your cattle. We need, because our American farmers are not up to par right now. They're trying to get back on their feet. With our uniparty that had waged war on us, they wanted us to eat more bugs. They pushed the New Green Deal. Trump stopped the New Green Deal. They wanted to have us on windmills and EV systems and bullshit like that. That was being more of a nuisance and destroying the wetlands and wildlife. It's going to keep it real. They don't want to deal with this work for real, for real. Shit. That's all I talk about is being on the DM's ass. What else is there to talk about? Until we have actually won the war, we are still in the battle. Even though we won one battle, but we still got to win the war, ladies and gentlemen. There's a war out here with what they want to do. They want to take our rights away, take our guns away. They want to take our freedom of speech away. They want to have illegal search and seizures. If that happened to a president, you best believe that can happen to any of your asses. They ain't playing right by the Fourth Amendment. Shit, if that was the case, they went into Mar-a-Lago illegally. They could do that for any of us. Shit. I mean, how are we protected? You do that for a president or ex-president, shit, you can do that to anybody. Remember, Obama, not Biden, Obama, right? He was the one that weaponized and went after his political opponents. They talking about Trump is doing it. They were the ones that went after it. Trump ain't did no illegal search and seizure. They did. They were the ones that said, we're going to take freedom of speech away. They made that whole thing up about Trump. That Fonnie Willis crap, as well as Big T, Letitia James, all made up. Now, look at what happened in it now. That's called karma as a mother. You know what, dog? It really is. Karma is something else, ladies and gentlemen. And I appreciate y'all coming in this room. I appreciate y'all rocking with me and things like that. You know what I'm saying? I got a pickup right now. So you guys, man, like I said, we got to keep this truth out. Please hit the like button to make sure other people hear this truth. A lot of y'all are MAGA supporters. I already can tell. I'm waiting on y'all to show up because I get some other people in here. You know what I'm saying? So I apologize if I may have read some of the comments incorrectly and things like that. I get so passionate about this type of stuff. I don't plan on running for, I don't plan on doing any of that stuff, man. But I would like to organize and push a candidate that we could trust in there because we know Trump ain't going to be in there forever, right? But he have laid down the groundwork and the dynasty and the foundation to bring back law and order and truth back to America. Aren't you guys realize how blessed you are to be an American citizen? Don't you realize how blessed you are, right? You are living in the greatest country in the world is America. Ain't no country greater than America. You know, you are very blessed.
You're gonna go all the way down to spot number 10 to 16 to pick.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, we are blessed, ladies and gentlemen. This is the greatest country on earth. And we're not going to allow these crooked ass politicians and these criminal ass corporations to run willy nilly on and try to subvert the will of the people. We ain't going to allow it. We didn't allow it then, and we're not going to allow it now. This is America, the land of free. We're talking about the land of liberty, freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You guys have a wonderful day. I appreciate you guys being part of something great, doing the live streams and stuff. I got my passenger in the car for privacy purposes while I don't got the camera on. But I'll see you guys on the next live. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you later.